All right. So welcome everyone. I'm Chef Liron, and we have with us today Chef Michael Hornback. And we are here at the Mirage HCC in the Stern Family Teaching Kitchen and the Blaise Bernstein School of Culinary Arts. And I will be behind the scenes today, but we have Michael here to give us a great class and a great menu. And I hope you enjoy it.
I apologize. I think I was the one who started off us on the wrong agenda. So thank you, Michael, for allowing us an interruption.
It's all about good food, right? So we're going to get started. First thing we're going to, and our accompaniment along with the Israeli couscous salad and the salmon burger is a play on a strawberry shake, but it's a little bit different shake. So since we have sumac going into the salmon burgers, we have a little bit of a Mediterranean theme going on. We're going to take fresh strawberries. We're going to make a shake out of them to go along with it. It's kind of like a burger and shake thing, but with roasted strawberries and a little bit of tahini and buttermilk. It's made out of those ingredients. So it's kind of rich, but it's a small portion of it, and it's quite tasty. So, but the first thing we need to do is to get that shake is to start with some strawberries, because we got to get them in the oven and get them roasted. So as we talked about, we're dealing with Harry's berry today. These organic, just beautiful berries. And what we're going to do is we're going to prepare these berries real quick for the oven to get them roasting for the shake. So what I like to do when I start with the berries, to clean the berries, I don't know how many of you guys do this kind of thing with your berries, where you just cut off the tops, okay? That drives me bananas, because that's such a waste of strawberry, right? So there's a better way to go about doing this. And it's a little bitty tool that I have in my tool bag that I like to use a lot. It's called a tomato shark. This is a tomato shark here. It's just a little jagged edge thing. It was designed to take the core out of a tomato, but it works beautifully for strawberries. So all you have to do is you just dig right in there, pulls it right out. No waste whatsoever on the strawberry. So probably a couple bucks on Amazon or at another little kitchen gadget store. Pick yourself up a tomato shark, and you'll save a lot of waste on when you're cleaning out the strawberries, because it's just going to take the top away, and that one's already gone. So, and it eliminates that waste of strawberry, because we don't like to have food waste at all. So what we're going to do here is just hull a few of these. We're going to get these in the oven. We're going to toss these with a little turbinado sugar. Now, turbinado sugar is kind of a unique sugar. It's right here. It's equivalent to what you see in the brown packages called sugar in the raw. And what it is when they crush sugar cane, the extraction of that, they heat it up really hot. And when it starts to melt, it keeps that molasses flavor together, and it crystallizes, and then they spin it in these turbines, and that's where you get the turbinado piece. And it has that really almost like a brown sugary type of taste, because it still has all that molasses in it. So back to the strawberries. So I'm just going to pop these in half. Just a quick cut in half. And this is a great thing to do, this roasted strawberry piece. Like when you have some strawberries around, you've eaten all the nice fresh ones that you'd like to have, and they start to get a little bruised, and maybe they don't look as happy as they did the day you bought them. This is a great thing to do with them, is to roast them up and make a dish like this. Also, this time of year, since the strawberries are as great as they are right now, and not so hot in the summertime, if you find you go to the farmer's market where they sell the half flats of strawberries, you can clean up a bunch of strawberries with your tomato shark. So you have them all nice and whole like this. And you can line them up on a sheet tray, stick them in your freezer, and freeze them solid individually. Once they're frozen, then you can take and put them in a freezer Ziploc bag and seal that up and just keep them in your freezer. It's like buying frozen strawberries, but they were frozen in their freshest state. And so when you go to make your smoothies and stuff like that, you have some great frozen strawberries. Okay.
My mom also uses that technique to make strawberry jam all year long.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because they're at their freshest now, so you might as well take an opportunity to do that. You can also do that. We mentioned stone fruit just a minute ago. If you got these fresh peaches and stuff like that, you can quarter them, but freeze them individually, so they're individually frozen. Then you can put them in a Ziploc bag, and then they won't all stick together. Same thing with bananas, and we're going to talk a little bit about bananas in a little bit.
Michael, we have a question about the difference between strawberries and organic strawberries, and do you have a preference?
Organic is these are certified organic, which means there weren't any pesticides or chemicals used in the growing process. And farms that are organic farms are certified from the growing practices of how they produce the fruit or the vegetable or whatever it may be. So if it concerns you to consume any sorts of pesticides or anything like that, organic is the way to go, because especially certified organic, because they've been certified and they've been grown without that sort of stuff. Okay. My preference is organic, obviously. In our house, we buy some organic, some conventional produce. The kind of rule of thumb we kind of use, if we're going to eat the skin, it's organic. If we're going to peel it, maybe not so much, organic. So like in bananas, for instance, I'm not going to eat the banana peel, so I don't buy organic bananas. I buy regular bananas. But strawberries, absolutely organic. All right, so we're going to use this turbinado sugar that we talked about before, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on there, and then just a little touch of salt, because salt, just brings out the flavor of everything. And what's going to happen here is we're going to toss these around a little bit. We're just going to let them sit for like 5 minutes while we're doing some other things. And you'll see that that sugar will start to melt. Some of the juices will start to come out. And then we're going to get that into the oven. And we're going to roast them. So I'm going to go ahead and put them on this pan right here. It's as simple as this. It's just a parchment-lined sheet tray. You just spread them out and then let them sit. And we'll just go ahead. This is going to work. We're just going to go ahead and pop them into the oven right now while we're doing our other stuff. And we'll check on them about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to stir them a little bit and put them in for about 10 minutes now. Okay.
And how hot is the oven?
400 degrees for about 10 minutes. Let me set this timer so we don't get off on ourselves here. Bear with me. Fancy stoves. Okay. Here we go. So we're going. So we have that going now. So that's our strawberries. I just wanted to get that piece of the puzzle going for us. It has to. So remember the takeaway: tomato sharp is your best friend. Okay. So we're going to move on in to preparing some of our other stuff right now. We're going to move into. Let's go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and start prepare our salmon for our salmon burger. All right, I've done a lot of the pre-work here, but there's a few things that we have to do. Okay, so with the salmon burger, you can use any sort of salmon. There's lots of varieties of salmon. If you like sockeye salmon or Atlantic salmon or king salmon, it's really up to you what you want to use there. But when you go to the seafood department, you can have the fishmonger there at the seafood department. Make sure that you have a nice piece of boneless, skinless. Go ahead and take the skin off for this purpose. Now you can take the skin off yourself at home if you want, but just so much easier to have them do it for you there. Okay. So what I have here, I've already diced up. You see, these are like 1/4-inch diced pieces of salmon. I'm not going to puree this or anything like that. Just because you want to be able to, this is as nice as like having a fillet of salmon on your plate for dinner. And what we want to do here is, I'll show you what I did. This was the nice fillet that I bought. And then I just take and I cut it down this way. And then you just cut it up into the 1/4-inch chunks, just like this. And it turns out just like it is there in the bowl. And that way it doesn't, sometimes you'll see recipes where they say to put the salmon in like a food processor and puree it up. I'm not a fan of that. Not for this purpose, only because I want it to, you still want to have pieces of salmon that are recognizable and it's great bite and mouthfeel when you go to eat the burger. It's actually got some substance to it and it's not just like mushed up fish. So this is 1.5 pounds of salmon you see here in the bowl. And salmon, good quality salmon, it has a price to it, but it's, you start with good stuff on the front side, you get good results on the back side. So we're going to start with.
Michael, when I go to Costco, where I really like their fish there, but they have like 3 different options of different types of salmon. Does it matter which one I take, or?
Well, price drives a lot of things. There's wild salmon, which is caught wild in Alaska. That's obviously fresh and comes right out of the water. There's in the wild. There's farm-raised salmon, which are farmed. It's salmon that's raised. And then there's different varieties of salmon. Sockeye salmon, really darker red flesh. This is a Chinook salmon. There's Atlantic salmon, which is a lot pinker than it is red. They're just different varieties, different oil contents. Depends. Once you find one that you like, that's the one that I go to. I'm a big fan of Atlantic salmon. It has a really high omega-3 fat content in it, and that's what I tend to gravitate that way.
And I think that's the one that Costco carries year round.
Yes.
The rest come and go.
The biggest seller there is a farm-raised Atlantic salmon. For smoked salmon, sockeye salmon works great if you're going to smoke it out on the grill. It flakes up real nice, holds up. It's a much firmer flesh. It works out well. All right. So we're going to move on. Let me get rid of my fish cutting board and my fish knife here. Just remember, any sort of raw meat or anything like that, you don't want to do on the same board as you do any vegetables or fruits for cross-contamination purposes. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make the salmon patties. And it's going to start out with, this is panko breadcrumbs. Now, if you were going to wanted this to be a gluten-free version, you could use oats, you could use cooked quinoa, you could use something like that to keep it a gluten-free option. But this is going to be mainly used as a binder, okay, to help keep the salmon patties together. I'm going to add a little bit of, this is just a tablespoon of mayonnaise. It gives it a little bit of fat. And then this Dijon mustard, a couple tablespoons of Dijon mustard, which is going to be a really nice pungent flavor. All right. And here's the sumac. And I think I may have left sumac off of the recipe. So if it's not on there, you can just pencil it in there. A couple teaspoons of sumac. Sumac is a nice Eastern Mediterranean type of berry. It has a very citrusy type, very reminiscent of a lemon peel type of flavor to it. It's really good.
And where would we get sumac at?
Wholesome Choice will find anything like that. That's what I would say around here. You want anything Eastern Mediterranean, you head on over to Wholesome Choice and they got you hooked up. Minced red onion. Right.
Our regulars know that we wish we were sponsored by Wholesome Choice because we send everyone there all the time.
We're blessed here in Orange County to have markets like that in such close proximity to us, and a lot of them. So it's great because the ingredients are really good. And then 1 egg I'm going to put in there. And then there's lemon peel. It's right here, my Microplane. This little gadget, this is another fun little gadget. It's called a Microplane, and really it's just a fine grater that you can grate different things on. You can grate garlic cloves or ginger or anything like that, but it's great for zest. And I'm going to see if you just rub this along this is a Meyer lemon, but you just rub it along. You take the peel, not the white part, just the skin itself, and you can see it accumulating inside that Microplane.
Okay,
Cool.
I have to point this out because Chef Lerone taught me this, and now Chef Michael is doing it. They hold the Microplane, what I think is upside down,
Yes.
and it collects all that, so you know how much you're putting in,
Correct.
and they make it look really easy.
Well,
so.
it is easy, but what you don't want to do is you see the white part. The white part of any citrus is very, very bitter, and all you really want is the oil content. There's a lot of oil in citrus skin. If you were to cut a piece of this skin off and hold a lighter and squeeze it, the oil would catch on fire. You can see those sparks. So there's a lot of oil in the lemon peel, and that's what we're after. And same with lime, same with orange, anything like that. So this is going to give a really nice citrusy flavor. And then we're going to cut this lemon in half, and we're going to put the lemon juice in there too. So that's probably enough lime for this purpose. See, we had it upside down, like Julie said, because it collected it all inside there for us. And then we just tap it away. And then a quick cut in half of the lemon. I like to use little strainers like this to catch the seeds. I know some of those little squeeze things that squeeze the lemon, that's great, but the seeds always seem to come through on me for some reason. So I just kind of like to do it this way. So that way you get all, and then you capture all those seeds. And they're gone. All right, and then a little bit of little bit of salt and pepper to taste there. I love fresh ground pepper instead of ground black pepper. It's just so much more pungent in flavor. And a plug for Trader Joe's. These little grinders are the bomb. They really, really work well. So do the pepper mills that you buy that you pay a lot of money for, they don't really grind pepper all that well. It's just in my experience. But these little spice grinders that the salt comes in and the pepper comes in, they're really, really good. They work out well. So the best thing to do with mixing this is to, the best set of tools you have in the kitchen are your hands. And I always have some gloves around because I'm going to get right on in and mix these up with my hand.
Michael, we have a question about the Himalayan salt and various types of the fancy salts.
Yeah.
Do you use those? When do you recommend them?
I do. They're more fit. Well, the Himalayan salt is a good it's a good all-purpose type of salt. It's not, if it makes sense, it's not as salty as other salts. It doesn't appear to be as salty on your tongue as other salts. Now, finishing salts, I love finishing salts like truffle salt, or there's smoked salt. Like we have alderwood smoked salt at home. It's a very pungent and smoky flavor, but they're more finishing salts than they are for actual cooking. When you pull it, whatever the dish you have off, then you just finish with a couple sprinkles of would it be truffle salt or alderwood salt or whatever it might be. So, big fan of different types of finishing salts. There's gray salts, there's black salts, there's a lot of black lava salt from Hawaii. There's just all kinds of it. And there's just they're great. They're really good. So yes, I am a fan of them. So as you see here, as we get down in here, you're just going to mix all these ingredients together, and that egg and that panko breadcrumbs is going to help bind all this together. So when we go to make these into patties, just like a normal hamburger patty, then we'll put them right onto these hot pans that are going over here. And it's really, if you got a good hot, medium hot pan, these really only take like 4 minutes on each side. Oh, look, that's our strawberries. We need to take a peek. Okay, so we're going to let that sit here for a minute while we check on our strawberries, and I'll show you what kind of progress is going on there. All right, so if you see here, you see all the moisture starting to cook out of those strawberries, right? So, and it smells like strawberry preserves almost. It's like that's where we're getting to, right? It really smells good. I'm going to pop these in for a few more minutes while we finish up, and these we're going to use to make our shake with. Okay. I'm going to set that timer again so we don't forget.
Oh, I can still smell it.
Yeah, they smell good, don't they?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put these to the side. We'll go ahead and get these started on the stove while we are making our salsa that's going to go along with this. So I changed my gloves because I had to do those strawberries, but we're going to make these up just like you would make any sort of other sort of meat patty, whether it be a beef burger or a turkey burger or anything like that. You just patty them up the exact same way. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in this pan here, because that's going to get us started when I patty these up. Okay, let me get my temperature up a little bit. Okay, here we go. So then you just take, this is about 1.5 pounds, so this would make 4 or 5 decent sized salmon patties.
So Michael, I'm a house of 2. If I made 4 or 5, could I freeze 2? Would I do it before I pan fry them or after I pan fry?
To make it simple, I would pan fry them and then freeze them individually. That way you can just pull them out and warm them back up again. They're already, so it's quick and easy. You don't have to go through the whole raw piece again. All right. So that's a nice salmon patty. You see how it's all held together nicely. It's got the specks of sumac, onions. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and put that down. That pan needs to warm up just a little bit more, starting. Okay. Looks like we're going to get maybe 4 really nice burgers out of this. So we started out with 1.5 pounds, so where you're going to be roughly nice 6-ounce burgers, which is a decent sized.
Those are big. Yeah, that's a nice sized burger.
Yeah, you can make them smaller. You can make little sliders if you were entertaining and you wanted to have little slider buns. You can make these into smaller ones. You have little salmon sliders. You can also do these obviously bunless. And this, Nancy, this is for you. You can put this on top of your salad that you make with 14 ingredients every day. So this could be the salmon portion of your salad, like you had today. And you could make up, if you had a pound and a half, like we just said, you can make these up ahead of time. And then once they're cooked, you can go ahead and freeze them. And then you can just warm them up again. All right. So there's 4 nice salmon patties. All right. And really about 4 minutes on each side is all they really take. So we'll keep an eye on them as we keep moving on to our next dish. Okay. So the next thing that goes along with this salmon burger, it's going to go on a nice toasted brioche bun. We're going to make a strawberry avocado salsa that's going to go along with it. So that's what we're going to start on now. So what I've done here, I went ahead and chopped up some of the strawberries again here, but I'll show you what I did. Remember, the tomato sharp is your best friend. All right, so we have the tomato sharp. And then with this, you really just need to slice it and you want to just dice it up, right? It's almost like you're making a tomato salsa, right? But then you just slice it into thick slices and then come back and just put it into small dices. And you just pop it on in there, okay? So that's how that would work. So you get your nice bowl of like 1/4-inch diced strawberries. And then we're going to add all the other ingredients to it. We'll get this last one sliced up here. Okay. So, like any other good salsa, jalapeno is always good. So this is a fine diced jalapeno. And this is the equivalent to, this is a whole small jalapeno that I had. I took the seeds out of it because seeds is where most of the heat comes from, and then just finely diced it up, and that's going to go right on in there. All right. Then we have a little bit of white balsamic vinegar, which I like, but this is what we're using today. This is a really nice white balsamic vinegar. You can get this at the grocery stores, but they also sell this at Costco in a 3-pack with some other vinegars as well. But this adds, and I like to use the white because the red balsamic vinegar will color the salsa. It will be a deep dark red. So use a little bit of white balsamic vinegar.
So if anyone wants to go in on a 3-pack with me, let me know.
Well, it's a 3-pack of cane. There was a flavor.
All right.
Of course, red onions, right? Gotta have some red onions in there. So we got this is really reminiscent of a strawberry pico de gallo, right? So a typical Mexican pico de gallo with onions and tomatoes. This is kind of looks like that, but it happens to be strawberries, right? All right, so let me take a peek, see what we got going on here. All right, we're going to flip these over. You want to get a look at those.
Oh, yeah.
So these are searing up nicely. They're holding together. Oh, that one's got a little bit longer to go. Flip that back over. So let's see what we got here. And this one's doing good too. The other two have a little bit of time left on them before we flip. Okay. So the pico de gallo, and then we're going to go into the avocado. All right, so this should be a nice ripe avocado. Beautiful avocado. Okay.
We have a special guest joining us. Come. Hello.
Hi.
Half of them are your friends.
Oh yeah.
And daughter related.
Hi. Oh, and my cousin's at the window.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
Hi,
It's a family
Shay.
affair at the Jag.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, this is good. Yeah, this is good, you guys. I actually don't normally like strawberries in my food, but it's actually really good.
Yeah.
We had it the other night.
And I don't like avocado in mine, so I could make the strawberry pico de gallo without avocado,
He was gonna
presumably.
leave the avocado out for you. We talked about that the other night.
He's a good guy. We'll take him.
So what we're going to do for Julie, since she doesn't eat avocado,
Hi, Nancy K.
we're just going to peel a little bit back to the side.
Jamie and
So
Shira are here too, and Carly.
On our portobello mushroom venture that we had, we talked about avocados and dicing them in the skin like this, but using more of a butter knife than a sharp knife, because a real sharp knife can cut right through that skin into your hand. So what I did is I just cut that this way and then this way. Then when I clean it out, it'll already be diced up and ready to go. Then you can just get rid of that avocado shell. And then just mix this together. Oh, there's the one that got away, right? And then this is going to be our avocado strawberry salsa that we're going to top our salmon burger. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and right now just set this to the side because we're done with that. And then we're going to move on to our next portion of the meal, which is going to be our Israeli couscous salad. So we'll get that started real quick. Oh, I did forget something right here.
I was wondering if I missed that.
What'd you miss?
The lime.
Can't miss lime.
Don't forget the lime.
And Michael, where do you get your brioche at that you're gonna serve it on?
Oh, I'll show you the package. Look, I'm a big fan of Pavilion, so I just went up to their bakery and they had some really nice brioche up there. And I'll show you the package that I used. You could go to any bakery that you like.
Okay.
Bakery, you get the brioche.
I mean, but you know, I'm gonna give you my 2 cents. Here's the reality. You can't always get to the bakery.
You can't.
You want to go to the bakery or you want to make fresh bread, and sometimes you can't get there.
Okay, that's our, you hear that timer? That's our strawberry. Okay. So, oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Deborah. Trader Joe's. It's my place, my Mecca.
So here we go. These are the strawberries that we put in the oven and roasted. Okay, as you see, they've caramelized nicely. The juices are coming out. Boy, if you could smell this, I wish we had smell-o-vision because this is really smelling like. So we're gonna go and let these cool because we're gonna use these in our shake. Okay. All right, let's take a peek at our salmon burgers. Oh yeah, that one's cooking up. Okay, we're gonna flip these over. Okay, so we'll keep going with those as we move on to our next dish. Okay. Oh, we were talking brioche bread, right? So let me go ahead since we're here. These are the buns that we're using here. It's an authentic French recipe, says so right there. So,
And brioche would be just what, a lighter, or is it an eggy?
it's an eggy lighter though too. It's soft, you know, it's a perfect bun for this because if you had crusty bread on this and you went to bite through crusty bread into this soft salmon, everything would just, squirt out the side, so to speak. But this nice toasted brioche bun that we're going to use to soften it up to where when you bite into it, it just goes right on through. Okay. So this dish starts with Israeli couscous. And this is Israeli couscous for all those who may not know what it is. It's really a toasted pearl pasta. And this is a tricolored version of it. It comes in just regular white, or you can buy the individual colors too, depending on who the manufacturer is.
Different shapes as well.
Yes. And
Oh, different shapes. Yeah, you get stars. There's all kinds of, you can get like ortho. Oh, yeah.
and this is a Israeli version. I mean, there's other United States brands as well, but this one here is Israeli. So when you make this up, you can just cook it to the directions that are on the package. It has you mix it with water, but you could stretch a little bit, put salted water, you could put vegetable broth, but you want to cook it to the directions, and then because you want it to be this, because you want to chill it down. And once it's cooked, you see it puffs up. And 1 cup of this is what I got out of it. So it does swell. It soaks up all the liquid that you put in it, and it comes to this. So it's like a pasta consistency. You cook it till it's like al dente, just like it is pasta. Right?
How do you cook it? Do you put it in boiling water or do you start the water without boiling?
Depending on, I just recommend go by the directions on the package because some will do it some way, some will do it other. You have the ability to saute it a little bit before you add the water. You can bring the water to a boil. There's a multitude of ways to do it. But for this application, all we need to do is get it cooked because we're going to add flavor to it with the lime vinaigrette. Okay, so we're going to get this right on into the dish. So this is couscous here. So just want to keep an eye on our salmon burgers over here. They're doing good. Okay, so this salad has all fresh ingredients. Again, strawberries. One more time, I'm a big fan of the tomato shark, right? And then this strawberry, all I did was these were just quartered. So just like that, a quarter. And so we have these quartered strawberries here that we're going to put in. All right. And this is fresh corn right off the cob. I just took fresh corn, I peeled it back, and I cut this corn straight off the cob. Didn't cook it, anything. It's just fresh, crunched, it's sweet. I really like the crunch of it. That's why I just leave it raw. Okay. So we put in the corn on that. And then we have some chopped cilantro we're gonna put in there. And we're gonna have toasted pine nuts. Now the pine nuts I bought were raw, and then I just toasted them in a dry pan. You just put pine nuts in a hot pan and just sit there and be careful because they'll burn fast. But just toast them dry, right on the stove in a hot pan. Okay.
Michael, I have one of those people in my family with that weird gene that means they cannot stand cilantro. Unfortunately, they're in my family.
Right. Chopped parsley.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to have that same feel, obviously, but you don't like that.
Right.
But you can get that nice fresh herby color. You could use fresh mint in here. You could put basil in here, or you could do a combination of parsley, basil, mint. Whatever your taste desires.
All right. Well, I'm going up to Jamie's house because the Evans love cilantro.
No, she can't stand, she doesn't eat it either.
Oh, we hate. I read it wrong.
No,
All right.
Jamie does not touch cilantro for the same reason you don't. It tastes nasty to her.
Okay, Jamie Evans.
No, I love it.
Mint, basil, a combination of the two, along with some fresh flat leaf parsley chopped up. There you go.
But Jamie loves mint.
Me too, and
Mint
basil.
it is.
I love them all.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna wait to put the avocado in until I make the dressing and toss it so I can pull some out for Julie. She doesn't like avocado. So the next step to this salad would be to make the dressing. I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off. I think we're just about there on our salmon burgers. So to make our dressing, it's just it's a lime vinaigrette. It's a very simple dressing. Extra virgin olive oil. Just put into the bowl. We have a little bit of apple cider vinegar this time, which is a great sweet type vinegar. This is very pungent, very acidic, so I'm going to add a little bit of turbinado sugar to it, and that'll cut some of the acidity and balance it out a little bit. And then it's just lime juice after that. So your two acids in there are the apple cider vinegar and the fresh lime. You just squeeze that in there. You know, limes sometimes, I don't know if anybody else feels the same way. It's like sometimes they just don't have any juice in it.
Can you use this dressing on anything else?
Yeah. This is it's just a lime vinegar dressing. You can put it on salads or anything that you wanted to dress with a vinegar dressing. Very versatile. You could also change up the citrus if you wanted to. You could use it, make it lemon. You can make it orange, whatever you want. But I would recommend fresh on the citrus.
I'd like to point out Shayla is demonstrating that our preschool is apparently a Socratic preschool with the engaging curiosity and inquiry.
Okay. So we have that, and then you just.
Well, how good would that dressing be though? Totally interrupting you on just a grilled piece of fish.
That would be fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Right?
on some ahi too.
All right. And then we are going to add just a little salt because I know it's going to need a little bit of salt.
Everything is salt.
And then you can adjust the salt and pepper in this salad once it's all done. So now that we have the dressing made, you just pour the dressing right on top. Okay. And just give it the mix. And it coats this really well. The couscous will begin to soak up that dressing.
Delicious.
All right. I do want to test the salt and pepper before I pull it out. All right.
Okay, Michael, when you were talking about pepper, I actually had a question. I also am a fan of the fresh ground pepper, but I buy it at Costco and it seems to last like 2 or 3 years. Am I losing that by grinding it in these big grinders? Am I losing the benefit? Do I need to be getting a smaller one and just replacing it more often?
For home use, I would say smaller is better, but spices in their whole form last 6 times longer than they do in their ground form. So if it's whole black peppercorns, they're going to last for years.
Oh, perfect. Good to know. Thank you.
But for home use, I mean, you're just not going to, I mean, eventually you're going to have to go through your spice cupboard and throw them all away. Because light and heat are the 2 worst things for spices. In the light, they're going to discolor, and the heat is going to take away any pungency that they have. So smaller is better, in my opinion. Okay. So this is that salad. I pulled you a little bit of salad out of there before I add the avocado.
Thank you.
Okay. And then again, All right. Oh, look, here we go, another butter knife. So another demonstration on the avocado that I mentioned before is just cut that down just like this. This knife is not going to go through the skin into your hand on the other side, which I'm not a fan of. So you just cut that back. And of course, you can make these dices as small as you want. The closer the cuts together, the smaller the dice is going to be. And then scoop that right out, and it's ready to go. All right.
The sign of a true professional, as Shira is pointing out, you make it look so easy.
It is easy, Shira. It is easy. I'll come and show you. Right. Okay, here we go. So that's our salad there. And our salmon burgers are looking good over here. So we're going to put a few final touches together. We have to toast up our brioche buns, which I already helped out a little bit. But over here, it's not ready. We'll plate here shortly. All right, so Julie, if you want to see this pan. For toasting of the brioche buns, what I do here typically, butter works great. You can use olive oil, whatever your fancy is on that, or you can do dry toast.
No, try it.
But what I would do, I just take the pan, take a stick of butter like this, just draw the paper back, melt what you need in there. And then you work that butter around, and it'll soak up that butter, just like you're doing like a grilled cheese. I do the same thing if I'm making a grilled cheese. Instead of buttering the bread, I'll do it this way as well. So now what you've got here is that soaked up that butter, and then they will sit and they will toast. And they toast it up. I toasted these up better earlier, so they get all this nice crust on them. Okay?
Did you hand chop the salmon?
Yes.
Can you use a Cuisinart?
No.
Oh, okay. I just told my cousin you could.
No, we went through all that.
Oh, sorry. It's my
Yes.
fault. I'm late.
Back again on the salmon, I prefer to have it pan diced, so because if you put it in a Cuisinart, it's just going to puree it. It's going to be more like a salmon mousse type of thing, which is not desirable to me. I'd rather have the chunks, because now when you bite into this, you get good, nice chunks of salmon. Okay.
We also have a question, speaking of cutting the salmon, about sharpening knives. Deborah, I know we take ours to Ace Hardware, and Ace sharpens our knives, but Chef Michael, anywhere else that you recommend for knife sharpening?
There's a commercial place that we go called Chef Toys up in Fountain Valley, and it's open to the public. I mean, you could go there, you put in your knives by a certain time today, they're ready for you tomorrow. It's relatively quick. But the most important thing is if you find somebody that does a good job sharpening your knives, just keep going there. I mean, if Ace Hardware, I didn't know Ace Hardware did that. So as long as they're doing a good quality sharpening on your knives, it's good to go. And then you can also, sharpen interimly. I have a little electric sharpener at home that I got from Amazon. It works okay for in between. You can really put a decent edge in it, but taking it and having professionally sharpened a couple of times a year will keep that nice edge on your knife. It's a smart thing to do for sure. Okay, so we're going to move right on into, let's plate up some of this stuff.
One moment, Chef Michael. It's called Chef Toys.
Yes,
It's right off the 405 freeway and Euclid in Fountain Valley. It's right off the freeway.
Deborah, I'll send you the link.
And it's open to the public, so
Yes.
anyone can go.
And when you get there, it is Chef Toys. We're promoting all these places. It's great, right? You go in there, they sell everything you can imagine.
It's
that would be-
amazing.
It's like a toy store for a chef.
Okay, wait. Do they sell that little shark thing you were
Yes.
telling us about?
That's
We
right.
can get our tomato
Oh,
sharks.
You can get your tomato sharks there. And you get all kinds of stuff there. So if you do go there, walk around, you can buy commercial stoves, you can buy big commercial barbecues, you can do all kinds of stuff. Okay, so let's start plating this up a little bit. So I'm gonna put this salad here. There we go. So we're gonna serve this, because the salad obviously is the side dish to what we're doing here. Okay. All right, and then we have let's see how our buns are going over here. Those are looking good. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and use one of the buns that I toasted already. And for this, I'm a big fan of labneh. And I'm gonna use that as a spread on the bottom of the bun as opposed to like mayonnaise or anything. I guess you could use, well, it is just strained yogurt, right? But it works nicely.
Oh, wow. I never thought of that. I love labneh. We also had a question about the couscous. Can you use regular couscous or does it need to be Israeli couscous?
Well, yes, Israeli couscous for this application, because the other couscous is more of a grain and it's gonna cook up more like a rice. It's not gonna be, like, this is actually toasted pasta, Israeli couscous is. So this is more like a pasta salad, just small little pearls of toasted pasta. Whereas the other couscous that you're referring to is more, you could make a wonderful salad with that other couscous, but it's not gonna achieve this, what we have right here. But it would be very good as well with the lime vinaigrette, with this, you know, you could do the same thing, but it's not exactly the same. It would just be more of a grain type of salad than a pasta type of salad.
And Deborah, they do have Israeli couscous at our favorite Trader Joe's.
Yes, they do.
They do indeed. And then I'm gonna take, on top of that, I'm gonna put a little bit of arugula. I like the arugula, it's a spicy green. Spicy, it's got a little, it's not, it holds up well. And so I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there. And I'm gonna take one of our salmon burgers. That one's seared up nice, and it goes right on there like that. Nice salmon burger. And then we're gonna take a little bit of our strawberry salsa that we made. Put that right on there. We actually had these for dinner the other night.
We sure did.
Because we ran a test on the recipe just to make sure.
We sure did.
And they were actually quite phenomenal.
Clean.
Okay. So now we have our strawberry salsa,
Mine's testing out.
and then we just top it with a bun.
Oh, look at how pretty that is. That is a professional who knows how to like tip the hat.
All right, so I'm gonna put this
Yeah,
out.
that's how my food is served at home, everybody, every night.
Yes, this is the Hornback household.
That is our sumac salmon burger with the strawberry avocado salsa with the strawberry Israeli couscous salad with a lime vinaigrette. Okay, so that was the main part of our meal.
That looks fantastic.
All right. If there's any questions, we'll take them real quick. We're going to shift gears over here to get to our roasted strawberries, because this shake, I happen to like this shake, but I got a lot of mixed feelings about it because some people don't like tahini. And if you don't like tahini, that's fine. You can leave tahini out of the shake. Or you could put in sun butter, you could put in peanut butter, you could put in almond butter, or none at all. Right?
Almond butter, that would be delicious.
Okay, but this is a unique recipe. So,
Chef, I'm gonna suggest, we once had a guest chef as well, Adina Sussman, and I do not like tahini, but she had a shake as well, and I have to say I tried it. So I'm encouraging everyone to try the shake because the shake was fabulous.
Date and banana.
Yeah, while I don't like tahini, I do like the tahini shakes.
So back to our strawberries. These were the strawberries that we just roasted, right? These are still warm, so we're going to use the ones that I pre-roasted because they're cold. Because you would want these to cool completely all the way through. And now, remember I told you we were going to talk about bananas. Okay? So when it comes to bananas, this is another thing I was talking about. Buying fruit now when it's fresh and then individually freezing it. So bananas, you know, we all have bananas that get a little bit overripe. You tend to, oh, what am I going to do with that? And you tend to see always make banana bread, right? So, but there's other things you can do with it. You can peel the banana and then again lay them on a parchment sheet and freeze them. There's nothing wrong with a brown banana. When the banana is brown, it's in its highest sugar content of the fruit will ever have in its life. So then you can take them out of the skin, put them on a parchment paper. These are frozen solid. Put them in the freezer and you freeze them. Once they're frozen, you can put them in a Ziploc bag and keep them in your freezer. And now you have them for smoothies or anything like that. Frozen bananas.
I love how you mentioned twice to take the skin off, because literally last week I told my 17-year-old to freeze the bananas. And I didn't tell him to take the skin off.
They didn't freeze it. Now, that's pretty funny. Now we have another another tip and trick on a banana. Sometimes, bananas, you're like, you struggle to get that thing to start peeling. If you just flip it over and go to the bottom, it peels.
Ah, I didn't know
So
that.
peel bananas from the bottom instead of from the stem,
I cut off his head.
and you get a nice banana that way. Okay? So, banana tips.
By the way, you can freeze your berries the same way, or your apples. I cut up apples sometimes and freeze them the same way.
You did that earlier.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I know. But I was really I
So,
was working.
if we come over to this blender here, any high-speed blender is good for this, like a Vitamix. This is a Ninja blender that we're promoting things today. This is a Ninja. Okay.
$70 at Costco.
Yeah. As opposed to the $250 Vitamix, right? So we're gonna take the pre-done strawberries that I did and put them in there. And you can see all this juice that's coming with it. And this is really, if you were to eat these right now, it's like very reminiscent of like a strawberry jam that you would spread on your toast. Okay? Then we're gonna take one of our frozen bananas, and I'll just break this. It's frozen. All right. Then we're gonna add buttermilk. Buttermilk has a nice tang to it. And buttermilk originally was a byproduct of making butter, the liquid when they separate the whey and the liquid and all that. This is low-fat buttermilk, so it's 2%. It's like using 2% milk. So this is 2% butterfat buttermilk. All right.
So a couple questions.
Uh-huh.
I don't keep buttermilk at my house, so I know when I bake, I substitute milk with lemon in it. Is that
Yep,
feasible?
absolutely. That and vinegar as well. Because, sometimes buttermilk comes in a quart and you don't really need a whole quart of buttermilk. But if you're making biscuits or you're making pancakes, buttermilk biscuits, buttermilk pancakes, stuff like that, it's always a good use to go ahead and buy the buttermilk. But certainly if you are milk in the house, you can look at an easy recipe up online on how to convert milk into buttermilk by adding the acid to it.
And also non-dairy milks, oat milk, coconut milk.
I haven't played around with that yet. You could. I would see the reason we're buttermilk here because this is a shake, right? And we're usually you would use ice cream, right? We're not using ice cream. We're using this other kind of version of that. You could make this with oat milk or almond milk or soy milk or something, but those are really thin in consistency. So you're going to have a much different consistency. It'd be more like a smoothie than it would be a creamy shake. But absolutely, it could be done. And here's the tahini. It's not a whole lot of tahini. It's just a couple 3 tablespoons. Okay. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to add a little bit of ice, about a cup of ice. All right. Ice frozen at the bottom of the cup.
Oh, no, what will we do? The ice froze.
All right, so we're going to take and we're going to add this puppy on there. And it has to be the right way, otherwise.
The arrow has to match.
There's the
And then
arrow
you
there.
click it
See,
down.
the arrows, they have to match. You there? Put the power on. Let's see how we are. Well, that looks pretty good. Okay. So since this is rich, I wouldn't put like 32 ounce glass of it or anything like that. I would just start with a small glass like this. Nice vibrant strawberry color. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of our roasted strawberry right on top.
So I'm a little disappointed, Michael. Today I have a peanut gallery to compete with me for who gets to taste the food.
And then I'm gonna top it with a little bit of toasted sesame to
Oh, look at that.
play on the tahini.
That is gorgeous.
Yes. So our dish today was our Israeli couscous salad, our salmon burger with a strawberry salsa, and our roasted strawberry tahini buttermilk shake.
Woohoo, thank you, Chef Michael. Aren't you gonna try it?
All right, does anyone have any questions?